the sketch layer is more of a guide, and then I can go on top of that guide and alter it however I want to make things look even more dynamic. So it kind of takes away some of the thinking for me that I can think about in the beginning and not really care what it looks like. In the beginning I'm just kind of figuring it out, and then later on I can go back in and make it look cool. And even after this layer, I may add some more shadows and some line depths to kind of make things pop and make it look even cooler. So that's a common practice, after this stage. Now I'm cleaning up the edges of the mouth because I don't want those to show on the goatee. And let's pull out, see what he looks like. Okay, let's zoom in. Now I want to look to do the inking of the outline of his face. So I'm in the draw layer. So now I'm thinking about how I'm gonna draw the outline of his face, and I think I'm gonna have a little bit of an indentation there, and then just kind of curve around his jaw. Not too rounded. I want it to be a little bit rounded, but I want it to be kind of strict on how that is. And then now moving up here to the forehead, and I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a line, but I'm gonna kind of cut it off because I'm gonna have to draw his hair, and so the hair will kind of take up the top there. Alright, and so now I just went back to some of my sequences in my storyboard. This is Jen at the museum. She's tying her shoe right here. She's looking up to her Uncle Bae, and he's going to be calling her into the museum. This is an early depiction of what I wanted Uncle Bae to look like, and it gives you kind of an idea of the two. These two characters, Jen, seen here, she's the main character of the story, and she most relates to Uncle Bae because they're both, really high personality, spitfire personality. She gets a lot of her traits from him. They can most relate to each other because they have a lot in common. So she's going to be the most affected by him going away. So let's go to the next image. So she's now, this is kind of a pullback shot of her running up the museum stairs, and she's going to meet her Uncle Bae, and they're going to go inside and take a look at some pictures and talk about history. And this scene is just to show the two together and that they love each other and they're getting along. And see his original look, he's just kind of standard looking, button-up shirt and dress pants, just very basic North Korean dude. But I want to make him a little bit different so he stands out, and so that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so moving along, we're going to zoom into the draw layer and start looking at his hair. I haven't quite decided how I want his hair to be. I want him to be a little bit older, so I'm certain he's going to have some sort of receded hairline, and so we'll go from there. Okay, let's zoom in. I'm going to switch to my brush tool, down into the sketch layer. I want to draw him some nice hair. I don't want it to look like a helmet, but I tend to start out with that and then scale back. So I'll kind of draw a basic figure of what I want the hair to look like, and then from there I'll scale it back and start adding more of what it actually needs to look like. So I'm not sure if I want this quite to be the hairline, but it's kind of a work in progress. So I just want it to be kind of a wide 4 head of hair, you know, and kind of receding back on the edges. So now that I got an idea of what I want the hair to look like, I'm going to go in and start making the main tweaks on the draw layer. And I'm going to erase this line because I no longer need it. I kind of need that piece up there still, possibly. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start edging the hairline. Try to be loose with the pen here, draw it a little bit scratchy, and some variations to sizes and all sorts of things, because that way it just looks like the hair is just kind of growing out of that area. It looks like it's actually something's going on there. I want it to look like, you know, hairs of varying lengths and thicknesses and all that stuff. And even on the, when I draw the outline of the outer hair, I tend to be real squiggly on that, leave straggles, kind of have little lines protruding from it, because then that kind of gives the indication that a hair is sticking out. Okay, so I like that, and I'm going to kind of move on to some other areas now. Just kind of leave the hair be and start looking at the drawing without the sketch layer. Looks pretty nice. I think I need to darken up the lines a bit, but we'll come back and do that later. Now I'm looking at the neck, so I'm going to zoom into that and start adding a little bit more detail onto the neck. Okay, now that the neck's done, I'm just thinking of a undershirt in his button-up shirt. Thinking of a shirt kind of like a Fruit of the Loom shirt, standard shirt collar here with some indications of lines in the collar. And I'm thinking maybe kind of a pullover sweater vest too, just to kind of make things, change it up a bit from just having a button-up collared shirt. So right now I'm drawing in the collar of the button-up shirt, and this is on the sketch layer, so I'm just kind of figuring out what I'm going to do, and then I'll go back in later and draw the final rendition of this. So now moving on to the shoulders, I want to make sure that they look a little bit droopy. I want to make sure that they're not muscular looking at all. I don't want them to look like he has shoulder pads or anything either. I just want it to kind of just fall off at the edges. I want it to look like, you know, someone in their 60s wouldn't necessarily have bulky shoulders. Someone, especially in a, they may have bony shoulders in this case, but definitely not muscular. So try to stay away from that and guard against doing that here. So just kind of cleaning up the look of these construction lines. Now for the vest. So I'm kind of thinking about where I'm going to place it and how it's going to look. I think I'm going to want kind of some um, kind of fat hems on the ends of the vest. You know, we're common to seeing that, you know, the edges of the vest are kind of like bigger. So I'm going to draw those, kind of doing borders on each side, and then give them kind of a thick drooping down collar. Okay, now that all the construction lines are done, I want to go ahead and go into the draw layer and start inking over those construction lines. And so again, the construction lines there were kind of a loose form. I can alter and change this any way I want still here and make it look even better. So the construction lines give me an idea of what I'm thinking. When I go back and ink, I can actually go, okay, this is not only what I think, but it's what I want it to look like. Also notice that, you know, he needs some more neck here. It looks like his head is kind of just perched on there, so I want to make sure I get that drawn in there. I'm going to actually zoom in and clean it up a little bit and make sure I got that right. Now I think I want to go in and start making some of the lines look a little bit darker, maybe have some varying weights. I think this goatee needs to pop out a little bit more, so adding some line thickness to that will help it to pop. So I think I'm going to add that to the goatee and some other parts of the face as well. So let's take a look at it. From the sketch layer removed, you can see it looks like it does need to be thickened. Whoops, zoomed in a little too much here. I'm going to Control Z and do an Alt click. So I'm going over the lines, and I'm going to add some varying weights to each of the lines, and just to make this mustache or beard, sorry, goatee. I want it to appear to just be standing in front of the face. I want it to pop out a little bit, so I want its lines to be, close to or as